Hey, welcome to Situations and Conversations. I am your host, Renee, and today's situation, mass incarceration. It is the civil rights issue of our time. Buckle up, buttercups, because this conversation is going to get real.
Situations and Conversations with Renee. Situations and Conversations with Renee. Real situations, real conversations. Empowering the community leads to elevation. Entertainment and education, no better time than now. Pure enlightenment for the crowd. This is Situations and Conversations with Renee.
Here we go, you guys. Mass incarceration is a serious situation. And here to talk about how they are helping tackle this major issue, we have Bobbin Singh, from the Oregon Justice Resource Center. That's right. And we also have Juan Chavez, who is the Civil Rights Project Director. We can give it up for our guest today. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Whew, this is quite the situation. Bobbin, you are the founder of Oregon Justice Resource Center and also the executive director. Tell me about your organization and how it all got started.
Well, I co-founded the OJRC about 10 years ago. Actually, we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary this month, and or these past couple months. And we started with the idea that we wanted to create an organization that would confront and frustrate mass incarceration in Oregon. There was no legal organization in Oregon that was focused on this. We were inspired by really great organizations out of the South, like the Equal Justice Initiative and Southern Center for Human Rights. And 10 years ago, a friend of mine, a colleague that now works with us, co-founded the organization. We didn't know really what we were doing, but we started in my apartment, no funding for a year. And over the past 10 years, we've grown to a statewide nonprofit that operates 7 legal programs that provides legal supports and services to over 700 Oregonians each year. And these are Oregonians that are going through the criminal legal system or who have been harmed by the criminal legal system.
Well, there's a lot of people, aren't there?
Yes.
I mean, and not just in Oregon, but all over the country. But I'm so happy that you did something like this here. But why personally did you feel like this is something you wanted to do?
You know, I grew up in Atlanta. My parents immigrated here. I grew up in a Sikh household and wore a turban until I was 16. And throughout my childhood, I just experienced racism, bigotry, prejudice. And through that experience, one of the things I tried to do when I was a kid was try to understand, what is this? Like, why is this happening to me? And then gravitating towards those people who actually stood up and tried to push back against that. And being from Atlanta, you know, I joke the first names that you learn about are Martin Luther King, Hosea Williams, Andrew Young, John Lewis. I grew up in John Lewis's district. And so when you have those civil rights, you know, icons or luminaries just there, it's very easy to be inspired by what they did. And so that was always something that motivated me, inspired me. And then as I went through law school, I saw that other people were very passionate about other areas of law, whether it was environmental law or health law. So I really tried to think about what are the things that really mattered to me. And I think drawing upon my personal experiences and then the inspiration of those luminaries really made me want to dedicate sort of my legal career to that, standing up, pushing back, and, you know, making sure that no one in our community feels like they don't belong. Like that to me was, while the type of discrimination or marginalization that people feel may be different because of race, ethnicity, economic, social class, criminal records, that feeling of being othered is common. And that was something that I decided, you know, I'll do everything I can with the tools that I have to help other people not feel that way.
Wow. I mean, that's a strong background. And hopefully you're blazing a trail for other people to also join in this fight. Juan, tell me, what are some of the programs that you guys have? You said there's 7 programs?
Yes. I am the project director for the Civil Rights Project. We also have a Women's Justice Project, a Youth Justice Project, the Immigrant Rights Project. Help me out.
The Civil Rights Project, Youth Justice Project, Immigrant Rights Project, Fair Law Project, the Oregon Innocence Project. Yeah, those are our major legal programs at this point.
I mean, clearly you are trying to represent and cover all the bases. But I'm really interested in hearing about how people even get your help. So let's say somebody out there feels like they're being wronged by the system. And there's a lot of us, right, that feel this way. What do? Do they just call you up on the phone and say, hey, I saw you on Situations and Conversations, help me out?
Well, I hope they do. So if, you know, one of the things, most of our legal programs, actually, we provide all our legal services for free. So it's pro bono. We don't charge anyone. And if you fit the criteria of the type of services that you need, so whether you're for the Oregon Innocence Project, if you're claiming innocence, for women who are currently incarcerated, they can get free civil legal services. For youth who have been treated as adults in our criminal legal system, can get supports and resources through our Youth Justice Project. So for those, a number of those programs, if you fit the criteria, we'll help you no matter what. Now, for our other programs, like Juan's program, the Civil Rights Project, it's a little different in how we do intake. And, you know, Juan can talk a little bit more about like his process and how he selects cases. But fundamentally, you know, what really guides us is what Juan has sort of helped us develop as our sort of North Star is we just fundamentally ask, is this okay? Is this okay for someone to be treated this way by the government, by police, by others? And if it's not, and we can help, we try to help.
Well, I think you definitely are helping. And I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation. We're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about some specific things that you probably don't even know that the Oregon Justice Resource Center has already helped you out with. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
For more than 40 years, Self-Enhancement Incorporated has helped thousands of at-risk youth and families in Portland. We have Libra Ford joining us, COO of SEI. Libra, what does SEI mean to you?
SEI means home to me. When I think about my physical home, the place of belonging, the shelter it provides me, the warmth, that's how I feel about SEI. It's foundational in its community. It is absolutely providing shelter against barriers. It gives people a place of belonging.
We are lucky to live in such a generous community. Oregonians want to help. What do you want to tell them about SEI?
Supporting SEI is important. It impacts all of us. Every child, every human being, the ability to stretch and be more than their circumstances. Every time we provide that ability for someone, we all win.
Self-Enhancement Incorporated needs your help. A small gift today can dramatically change the trajectory of someone's life tomorrow. Visit selfenhancement.org.
I told you we'd be right back. We're here with the Oregon Justice Resource Center. We're here with Bobbin Singh and Juan Chavez. Now, let's talk about some of these cases that you guys have taken on. I mean, there's a long-standing history of white supremacy here in Oregon. So I know you get flooded with a lot of cases. First, why don't you speak to some of that history out here?
Yeah, I mean, Oregon was founded as a white-only state. I mean, it's a sort of well-known history and understood that when Oregon became a state, it was in its constitution that prohibited Black people from living here. And, you know, since that time, Oregon has had basically a very spotty history with race and race relations and allowing people of color to reside here in peace and with dignity. And from that sort of original sin of this state, all these policies and practices and the culture developed in Oregon, and we have not yet come to any sort of truth and reconciliation around that. So I think across all our social sectors, whether it's economic, social, education, criminal, all those systems, all those areas of our community are infiltrated with that ideology, and it just, you know, unfortunately brutalizes communities and has for, you know, over, you know, since the mid 1800s. So those are things. That's the inertia we're trying to push back against.
Yeah, it's so funny because so many times people feel like, oh, Oregon's so liberal and.
Yeah.
Then you get here, like me, because I'm a transplant. I mean, I've been here for 16 years now, but I had no idea the history in Oregon until I got here and started to feel a little, you know, some kind of way. And I was like, wait a minute, let me do some digging. Read that book, A Peculiar Paradise, and said, oh, okay, I get it now. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean it's okay. But we do have to figure out how to live and work within these systems. And it's really difficult. And sometimes they bite us in the butt, right? And so that's where you guys come in. So Juan, tell me about some of these cases, like a specific case where you guys were able to come in and help some folks out.
Sure. I think over the last 18 months of this pandemic, we've all been struggling in some way to deal with isolation, having to keep separate from one another, and staying alive. Now, I don't think what a lot of people have thought about, of course, is the people we've incarcerated in the years leading up to now, and all the people who had to suffer through the pandemic behind bars. These are folks who could not protect themselves in the same way that we could. While you and I could be socially distant or stay at home, limit our contact with other people, people incarcerated could not. You have to imagine that every day you have, a police officer going through your house or your dinner table and being, having their germs shoved in your face at all hours. And what we saw in this state was catastrophic death and infection. The community didn't have nearly as bad of an infection rate as folks in prison did. So we filed a suit to try to get extra protections for folks who are incarcerated. We kept pushing and pushing. And by the time that we got a vaccine for the rest of the public, fortunately, the state had neglected to prioritize prisoners despite having been subjected to horrible disease all that time. So we filed an injunction, which is a court action to have some rule enforced, and the court sided with us. So incarcerated folks were able to be properly categorized as people who were living in a congregate care environment. So that was one big case.
That's interesting, because I never would have, and I look at myself as a compassionate person. I try and think about all people, but I'm not going to lie. I didn't think about the prisoners, I hate to say that word, but the people who are in prison, and how COVID impacted them in that way. Didn't even, so thank goodness, that you guys were here to help make sure that everybody was safe and there was equality in the system, right? What about all of the protests?
Right.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
Sure. So as we all saw, hundreds of thousands of people poured into the streets across the country to in defense of Black lives, as an uprising to challenge the status quo, which has been, white supremacy as enforced by the police that we all pay to, quote unquote, protect us. Mm-hmm. When George Floyd was murdered and everybody poured into the streets, the mask came off from the police. What we saw was wanton violence from them, indiscriminate use of weapons against the public, against people who, were otherwise passively resistant or peacefully protesting. It didn't matter whether you were a good protester or a bad protester. If you were outside challenging the police, you were a bad protester to them. Mm-hmm. And so you were inflicted violence, and violence was inflicted upon you. So us, in conjunction with two other law offices, Albies and Stark and Levi Merrithew and Horst, filed another injunction there, and the federal court agreed with us. Unless the Portland police could ensure that passively resistant people weren't getting hurt by tear gas, they shouldn't use it.
No tear gas.
No tear gas. And
that's because you guys, along with your partners who you collaborated with, stepped in to protect people. Their right to protest. We do have a right to do that. No, nobody's saying we have the right to loot and, break things up and tear up stuff. But you do have a right to protest. And that was a big reason to do it. And I was watching the news flabbergasted. I was like, what? I wanted to get out there, but then I was nervous. But one of your colleagues, Amy Wexler, who's been on this show, she was actually the first person to ever come on Situations and Conversations last season. I would see her on videos like, oh my gosh, I'm so worried for her, because I could see what was happening. But you guys not only are about the legal side, but you're really about the work, right there on the ground. And I am really impressed with that and appreciative. And I think everybody needs to know about the work that you guys are doing, because you never know when you can find yourself in a situation, right? Because you guys also get in there and defend people who claim to be innocent. Now, I know everybody, from what I heard, everybody in jail always says, I didn't do it, right? So how in the world do you guys have the resources to get in there and find out who's really innocent?
It's a long and hard process. And, there are a lot of people who will assert their innocence because they are struggling with their own accountability in, the underlying action that they committed or the harm that they were a part of. And there are a good number of people who are actually innocent across this country. The percentages are pretty high. You don't want anybody. So it's like they say 1 to 4% of people incarcerated are actually innocent. And when you put that against 2.4 million people that are incarcerated in our country, that's a significant number of people that are incarcerated in our prisons that could be or are potentially innocent.
I can't imagine.
So yeah, we launched the Oregon Innocence Project in 2014. There's the National Innocence Project, which is based out of New York. Most states have a program that's dedicated to innocence, and we launched our program in 2014. It's an independent organization, but we belong to a network of other innocence programs across the country. And it takes time. People write into us. We have a pretty lengthy application that people have to fill out. It spends months and months investigating these cases, like 6 months, a year, reviewing the records, talking to attorneys, looking at the investigation paper trail, the evidence that exists, if there's biological or DNA evidence that exists. You know, what is it about this case? Is there something about this case that is speaking to us? And as our legal director will say for the Innocence Project or the Oregon Innocence Project, it's kind of like an onion. You just keep peeling and peeling and peeling until you get to something that either tells you to stop or you keep going. And since 2014, we've actually had 3 exonerations, 3 people here in Oregon that were found that we believe were innocent, that were wrong, their convictions were overturned.
Okay. Congratulations. That's not a little thing. I mean, it sounds like, I'm sure people at home are like, 3 people since 2014. But this takes a lot of time and effort and research.
Thousands of hours. And just recently, we're currently representing someone on death row in his quest for innocence. This is a Black male that was wrongfully convicted in Marion County. He was under a sentence of death. And about a month ago now, the court reversed his conviction and reversed his sentence. So it's going back for, well, we're still trying to figure out what's happening next. We think the case should be dismissed, but it's up to the district attorney as far as what the district attorney wants to do. But yeah, it was, we hope, you know, we can walk the client out of prison soon, you know.
That's so good. I mean, that's literally good. You're doing good for people. And I can't tell you, I mean, you never know when you can find yourself in this kind of situation. So I know you're a nonprofit. It sounds like this takes a lot of funding. How can people help, or how do you say it's free. How do you get paid? You got to eat.
Yeah, it's a hustle. You know, it's no doubt a hustle. And, you know, we're supported by state contracts, philanthropic giving, and grants. You know, we really have a number of supporters that give $10 a month, $10 a year, and people that give much larger gifts to us. And as you mentioned, our colleague, Amy Wexler, she's sort of leads up our development efforts. So she's really the one that helps us get out there and, you know, raise money from the community. But yeah, we're supported by a lot of generous donations and grants. And, you know, for right now, I would say our organization is probably in the strongest financial position it's been. I think it's been because of what happened last year. I think people recognize that these are important issues, that you know, organizations like ours need that kind of support, because we do offer our services for free and it does take a lot of effort. So over the past 12 months, we've been really blessed to get a lot of support from the community, but we could always use more.
I was just about to say, let's keep those blessings coming, because again, this is important work and you never know when you just may need it. So thank you guys so much for being here today and talking about that situation and bringing a whole conversation around equality in the justice system, equality for everybody. And I'm thinking that I'm going to be one of those donors, at least a little something every month, because you never know. I may need it. All right. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Whew, I told you that was going to be a conversation. So listen, the conversation continues. Please make sure that you continue to watch and support, because these are the things that need our dollars and our attention. All right. So thank you so much. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
SEI has been a pillar in this community for 40 years. Our roots run deep, with thousands upon thousands of lives changed for the better. If 4 decades has taught us one thing, it's that we are resilient, and no matter the challenge, we will show up for our people. We pivot, we adapt, and we serve with excellence. 40 years is just the beginning. Come see what's next.
Welcome back. Now it's time for Hey Trey. This is where you get to ask the questions.
Hey Trey, we're here right in the community where you can get yourself something great to eat. We're here at Everybody Eats PDX. Hey, I'm Mason Spade.
And I am Javen Harper. We are P-Town Media. Guess what, Trey? We're in the community today. We got a few community members that want to ask you a community-based question today.
So check a look at this.
Hey Trey, what's your sense of community and balance?
By the way, Johnny, what's your favorite daytime talk show?
Situations and conversations, man. Come on.
You heard it.
What creates a sense of community and balance for me? Well, I could say, and I will say, priorities. It's important to know what your priorities are and your values. And then I tend to believe that everything sort of falls into place after that. For me, my sense of community is not just about me. It's about God first, family, friends, and I include everybody as my friends. I feel like we're all one big happy family. And if we participated in life as such, then I do believe that we would be more harmonious and get more done. But priorities, that's where it's at. My dad used to say, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So all in balance are all things. So make sure that your priorities are first, and then you can do what you want to do after you do what you got to do.
We all deserve the opportunity to reach our full potential. Since 1981, Self-Enhancement Incorporated has been a one-stop resource for youth and families in the Portland metro area. For over 40 years, SEI has helped more than 16,000 students and families each year. SEI needs your help. Visit selfenhancement.org/donate. Your gift will change someone's life. Visit selfenhancement.org/donate to learn more.
Urban League of Portland presents COVID Conversations.
Lots of questions about testing and why it's important to get tested. So if you have symptoms, because we're in the COVID period, COVID pandemic, it's very, very important. If you have any symptoms that may be COVID, please, please, please get tested. And what are those symptoms? Stuffy nose, cough, fever, chills, body aches. And where can you get tested? You can go to your doctor to get tested. You can go to a pharmacy to get tested. There are also at-home tests that the government is now paying for. So if you were to buy one, you can get reimbursed by your insurance.
COVID Conversations are brought to you by Urban League of Portland, empowering Black communities in Portland and Southwest Washington since 1945. For more information, head to ulpdx.org. All right, you guys, it's time to get up out your seats for what we like to call Artist Spotlight. That's right, we are highlighting local talent, and I collaborated with P-Town Media to get out there and see what's going on. Hey, Asa and Javen, who's on the spotlight?
Thanks, Trey, and welcome to this week's Artist Spotlight. We have an amazing artist here ready to perform for you. My name's Asa Spade.
I am Javen Harper. We are P-Town Media. This week's artist has amazing sound and amazing industry style. Mighty has been on tour with some of the best in the game. Just to name a few, Rakim, Twista. Mighty has 2 songs that can be heard as an anthem for the Oregon Ducks and the Portland Trailblazers. Mighty's music can be found on all streaming platforms.
So make sure you don't go nowhere. Don't touch that dial. And y'all keep it locked right here, because we about to get ready for my man, Mighty.
Bags over clout, bags over clout. Reach up in the stash, try to sort it out. Been getting money with a mask, you can point them out. They don't run the city, they just giving you the run around. It's easy to spot when you know the territory. The rest is for the birds, is what a parrot told me. There's nothing to inherit, I'm the hero, homie. You gotta watch some Looney Tunes with all these carrots on me. Get it, got it, good. This ain't Hollywood. Put that on the hood. They told me you shouldn't, but they all knew I would. They knew it, they could've called it. Even if I threw it, they couldn't have called it. I got too many giving they 2 cents. They ain't swing through cents. I mean, either way, I would've bought it. Putting on for the town, all hands on deck. I don't need a handout. Rise up for the squad, yeah, I do it for the fam. I don't do it for the clout. In the fast lane, money ain't a thing, but the cash came. Trying not to crash, let up off the gas main. This shit for the family, I hustle for my last name. Round table for the feast. Surround yourself with beasts. Nash beats, I made thousands in the streets. Count your blessings, my accountant's overseas. Big bag, no clout chasing. Spot that a mile away, no Dalmatian. Been a pillar for the town, I'm the foundation. This the sound of staying down for the crown, ain't it? This the sound of staying. Putting on for the town, all hands on deck, I don't need a handout. Rise up for the squad, yeah, I do it for the fam, I don't do it for the clout. Putting on for the town, all hands on deck, I don't need a handout. Rise up for the squad, yeah, I do it for the fam, I don't do it for the clout.
Mighty, I wanted to thank you for an amazing performance. Bags Over Clout. That's a banger, by the way. I got a question for you, man. When did you fall in love with music?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, and a lot of people, you know, a lot of people have, you know, therapeutic things that they lean into when things are going on in their life. But as a youngster, I went through a lot of things, you feel me? I had a very tumultuous life, you feel me? And so I felt like just putting them words out on a pen and pad when I was, 8, 9, 10 years old, it just kind of started to flourish into other things. And I remember specifically at school one year, I wrote on the back of a state test. You know where they got where you're supposed to do your notes? I wrote a rap on the back of the state test, and I got in trouble because you're not supposed to write back there unless you're doing your notes. You're supposed to show your work. And that really helped. I don't know. It really helped me understand that this is something I love. This is something I really want to do. So we here now, and, you know, I don't know. I guess everybody has their therapeutic thing, and we 20 years in, baby. I'm just excited I get to share it with y'all. Y'all family, man.
Amazing, man. Bags Over Clout. Bags Over Clout. Hey. Man, off the Homecoming EP, man. Yeah. Let them know a little bit about that EP. It's a double EP, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, let them know something about that.
A-side, B-side. Big thing in hip-hop, A-side, B-side, feel me? And so we dropped Bags Over Clout on side A, Homecoming on side B. Both of them are streaming incredibly well. 50,000 views on Bags Over Clout video as well on YouTube. Still moving 250,000 streams on that bad boy. So now what we're looking to do is just to keep that ball rolling with hopefully some new music for everybody, you feel me? And from here on out, you know, you go get that at itsmighty.com. You need to go tap in at It's Mighty on every social media platform and search Bags Over Clout on your streaming platform. Just go and press, you type that in, ain't nobody else got it, man. So Mighty, M-I-G-H-T-Y, do yourself a favor, follow your boy. You know, I talk back, you know what I mean? So you feel me? It is what it is, bro. I appreciate y'all.
Man, thank you so much, man, for the awesome performance, the great information where we can find the music, man. So y'all make sure y'all keep it locked right here. Artist Spotlight. Back to you, Trey.
That's what I'm talking about. Woo! Thank you, Mighty, who, by the way, did the Situations and Conversations theme song for season 2. I also want to thank our guests from the Oregon Justice Resource Center, Bobbin, Singh, as well as Juan, Chavez. And I want to thank you all for hanging out with us today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And remember, when you think me, think we. When you think you, think two. See ya. Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Self-Enhancement, Inc., Youth Potential Realized. And thanks to our friends at Peace Health, Urban League of Portland, Holla, and Home Place Furniture and Design. Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee is a Bum Juice Entertainment production in conjunction with Thomas Chung Films, P-Town Media, Press Release Marketing, Robin Allen Style, and Hype Her Ventures.
Real situations, real conversations. Empowering the community leads to elevation. Entertainment and education, no better time than now.
Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee, Saturdays at 10 a.m. on Fox 12 Plus.